Hey there! Time for another Eve news and weather and sports when it comes to it. That way, if I can do Eve news, weather, sports, I can actually use a compass rose as my logo because I'll have ENWS. Planning in advance. It's March 16th, and this is a little update on what's going on in Eve Online this week or in the past week, and some things to look forward to in the week upcoming. First thing I want to talk about is Eve Rookies. Eve Rookies are now celebrating 4 years in operation. Something that started nice and small by Cashel is now a large operation with fingers in all sorts of pies, low sec roams, incursions, faction war, you name it. They're doing it. They're teaching rookies to do it and training FCs, training people to get into the game. It is a great thing. And if you have a chance, there'll be a link down below that will show you how you can get involved. And if you show up and chat with them, they'll probably drag you along on a roam. They've got a high sec roam, low sec roam, kitchen sink roam, all coming up in the next little while. It'd be a great thing if you have a chance to get into it. Please do so. It's I have nothing but raw admiration for them for managing to keep this sort of thing going for so long. Of course, I know about being stubborn and keeping that sort of thing going because, hey, I'm just as stubborn. The other big news this week was Revenant, a new patch slash update for EVE Online came out, and it had a ton of stuff, far more than I can go through in just one um, short, and I like to keep these things short. I'm already almost at 2 minutes. Keep these things short, so I'm not going to go through everything that they did, but they updated mining. They did some logical changes to ship speed. They balanced a ship or two here and there. CC Park Carker and her team doing the little things, fixed a few things, some of which are just the pain points in the game, the things where you go, I wish somebody would do this. It's almost always Karker and her people, and nothing but admiration for Karker. She's a great dev and doesn't get enough credit, I think, from anybody. I will include down below the links on the various changes that have happened over the game. Some of them are big, some are small. A lot of mining changes, which we were talking about last time, in size of rocks, where the rocks are, how to get to them. Also, warp speed is changing for a lot of ships. The EOS got balanced some, and it's just generally a lot's going on. So if you want, you can read the short version or the long version, but there's a lot to read on if you're reading up on how the game is played. The other thing I want to talk to you about, of course, is changes in numbers of um, shifts in the alliances and that sort of thing. As usual, there'll be a link for the SOV map down below, and following the SOV map, I was looking at the number changes, and sometimes when it says 500 players joined or 500 players left an alliance or a corporation, you're going, that sounds like a lot of people. I mean, 500 people is a lot of people. But the question is it a noticeable change to the organization themselves? And the answer is if there's 600 in your corporation, 500 leave, yes, you notice. On the other hand, if your alliance has 50,000 people, and yes, there are alliances with 50,000 people in it, then 500 is 1%. Not a huge thing unless those 500 that left were all critical information people or the entire IT team or the entire FC squad. 50,000 people in one organization in a game is, even if some of them are dead accounts or accounts that are alts and multi boxers and that sort of thing, it's still a huge number. And I want you to think about that for a second, that the big organizations, and I'm talking the Imperium, Pandemic Horde, Init, all of those groups, they have IT support. Like they have people who are dedicated to doing this. They have people who are dedicated to training. They have people who are FCs, and that is their main job. They have a manufacturing wing. They have subgroups of people who really are into some side hobby. So you may be playing EVE Online, but you have an entire group that spends most of their time talking about Albion online or some other game. Wow, I don't know. I now for me, this is me looking out. I'm the little match girl because I'm outside looking through the window in at all the happy people. It's a personal choice. I play the game solo. That's what I do mainly so nobody thinks that the Magic School Bus is biased towards anybody or donations will go to support one group or another. It doesn't. It supports rookies. That's the group it supports, but not any particular subclassification. Yeah, subclassification. So the movements I did want to talk about today, Initiative lost, that's an alliance, lost 500 members. Now they have 22,000 members, so that's not a huge shift. Pandemic Horde had the next biggest move, and they picked up about 516 members, but they have 50,000. So that 500 move is half as important to Pandemic as it is to Init. And that's what I mean by it being a relative thing. You have to look at what the number is compared to the total amount. There's some group called, let's see, so when it drops further down, Secker Academy. They lost 117 people. Now, for them, that was big because they only had 280 to begin with. So that is a big, they're going to notice that. This is the thing. When you're playing the game, everything becomes relative. Really common thing in rookie help chat is people say, what's the best ship? What's the best way to do this? What's the best way to do that? And we tell them there isn't a best in the game. In a lot of cases, it comes down to conditions, what you're looking for, what you're up against, how good you are as a player, not skill points registered, or in other games it'd be what level you are, but how good you are as a player. And that becomes really important. Anyways, I did want to keep this nice and short as usual. I would love comments, follows if you're doing this on YouTube, because I'd like some algorithm to say, hey, this guy's good. But other than that, you guys have yourself a lovely week today. Rum and Coke. And I'll talk to you next time.